In this class, we're going to talk about painting yellows. And the critical thing about painting yellows are how to handle the shadows, because the shadows can either make or break the way that this yellow specimen looks. The problem with the shadows and yellows is that they can get very heavy very quickly, or they can get muddy looking. In your assignment sheet that you will be mailed this week, you will find this chart. Now, I'm making this chart optional, but quite honestly, I think it would be a very good idea for you to actually do the exercise. And the way that this chart works is you're going to take the two yellows that are in your kit, the cadmium yellow pale and the Winsor lemon. And you are going to combine them with different shade colors that are used for yellow. Those consist of Winsor violet or permanent rose and French ultramarine mix, the neutral tint, sap green, burnt sienna, or just plain ultramarine. Now you'll see that there are two sets of rows here for cadmium yellow pale and for Winsor lemon. And then we repeat those sets again in the second set of rows. So what you do with this is, in the first case, you want to start with the yellow color first. So what you would do is mix up a very thin 10% mixture of cadmium yellow pale, and then paint both rows with a single layer of cadmium yellow pale. If it looks too light, put another layer on. Then let that dry, and then you're going to put 1 to 2 more layers of cadmium yellow pale on the second row. You don't want it to get too dark, maybe 30% at the most in terms of value. And you're going to do the same thing again when you do the Winsor lemon. You're going to mix up a very light mix of Winsor lemon, and then again paint the entire thing, let it dry. In the second row, you're going to paint 1 or 2 more layers so that you see a difference in the color yellow you have between the first row and the second row. All right, save these mixes so that you have them when you have to do this second section. So what we're going to do next, after this dries, you're going to take your Winsor violet, or you can mix permanent rose and French ultramarine blue to create a violet. And you want this violet to be about a 10%, no more than 15% or 20% at the most. And you're going to paint over, in this vertical column, you're going to paint all 4 sections. Because in this set of rows, you're going to put the shadow down first. In this set of rows, you're putting the yellow down first. So that way, once we've got the yellows in position here, then you can take your Winsor violet and paint it all the way down. Then you can take your neutral tint and paint it all the way down. And I would alternate so that you have time for things to dry. So instead of neutral tint, I would do the sap green, paint it all the way down. Ultramarine, paint it all the way down. Let it dry. If you have to, turn it around upside down, because these will be dry and this will be wet, and put in your burnt sienna and your neutral tint. Once you've got the rows filled in with the shadows here, you're going to do exactly the same thing with your cadmium yellow pale that you did up here in the first row, only you will be painting it on top of the shadow. And the same is true with the Winsor lemon. You're going to do the same thing here that you did in the first row, only you will be painting it over the top of the shadow. So what you'll end up having is a chart that looks like this. The top row will show the shadow color that you're using. Make sure you label it as to what you used. The shadow rows with both yellows will appear beneath that. Now in this chart here, you'll notice that there is an additional chart. I happen to have done this because this particular one shows cadmium yellow pale and Winsor lemon using graphite underneath, but that's an entirely different, more advanced technique, so you don't even have to worry about that. I happen to have it on my chart because I like to see what these things might look like. So this is an exercise that you can do on your own. We don't need to do this in class. What I'd really like to do in class is spend time painting or trying out some of these shadows with the subjects that you've brought to class.